Yo, what is up guys, and welcome back to a brand new league racing video. It's been a while, sorry for that. I had issues with my PC, and whenever I played a video it was lagging, so sorry that we're a little bit behind on league racing videos, but I'm gonna be pumping them out ASAP in the next few days so we can catch up. But here we go for round 6 of PSGL around Mexico. This is our first Q1 run, and as you can see here from the standings, it's not looking very good at the moment. We are 23 points behind Barry Bormand, the leader in the championship, and we need to try and claw back in the next few races. But as you can see, the season is pretty short, so it might be too late to fight back in the championship, but we're gonna give it our all and try to do something here today, try and catch some points back. As that's, yep, that's good. As that's the only thing we can do at the moment. We can just try and win races. We can't control what other people do in their race, so all we can do is try and win and get as many points as possible. So out on our first out lap on the set of slots. We've already, as you can see in the top left, we've got a lap time on the board, but that's on the intermediates, just to make sure our wheel and pedals are working. You can see us weaving pretty aggressively to try and get the temperature in the tires. Ahead of us, our teammate Danny Moreno, who hasn't done a lot of PSGL races this season yet, but he is here today to try and help us in the constructors. As you can see, Cardelundi set a 1:15.6, but now it's our time to shine in this Q1 session. Wilson does a 1:15.302, and the first set of corners is gonna be very hard immediately, very easy to invalidate, as you guys might know, because you have to cut them a lot, and then you have to avoid the second one to avoid an invalidation. But we get it right. That was a pretty good first sector. Into sector 2 now then. Very hard to get a car rotated, just crucial to get a car rotated. You need to get around those tight corners as fast as possible. So setup wise, that's quite a challenge without compromising traction too much. And then through this section, very easy to lose the backhand. Again, you need a lot of rotation, otherwise you're gonna have to lift mid corner as well. So setup wise, it's a very tough track. Into the final sector now, you can see we're 700s up on Valentin Bruffer, and again a very tight hairpin through here, and then a small kink to the right where traction is very important. Through the final corner now, short line up to the finish, and it's gonna be a 1:15.248, and that's only enough for P7, so that means we're gonna have to go again and use another set of tires, which is not ideal, as the top guys are usually only using one set of tires. So again, that sets us on the back foot for if we go into Q3, and then we will only have one set of tires remaining. So up to the line now, it is a pretty big improvement. Up to P4 we go, but again, a lot of those guys have not used two sets of tires. Freddy, Marcel, Barry, Lucas all did not use two sets of tires, and that means they're gonna have another new set. Our teammate Danny Moreno out in Q1. Jake Benham, or other teammate, P15. Yeah, not a great qualifying session for us, and I think it shows that we just don't still quite understand the setup. I've got a lot more on top of it, and even though I think the pace is good, I think compared to the top guys like Red Bull, McLaren, we don't have quite their performance, but most importantly, our car is very hard to drive setup wise, and that's setting us back in those actual sessions. Now, your first Q2 run was done, and you can see we're only P8, so we're gonna have to pull something out of the back here to get into Q3, and then we will only have one new set of tire remaining. So yeah, this one is gonna have to be good, otherwise we will be out in Q2 into the first section of corners. You can see Jake going out there for his final Q2 run. into turn 1. Again, important we don't invalidate, because that would mean that we're out. And we get it pretty alright. Again, a little bit struggling on the exit. I think the main issue today we have is struggling on exits. It's either we have to drive very much under the limit, or yeah, we get a big snap of oversteer. You can see the rotation is pretty good. So we just haven't made the right compromises in the setup to get the right amount of traction with the right amount of rotation in those low speed corners. Through the fast section now, a little bit of a wiggle, a little bit of an oversteer moment. Flat out through there, and you can see we've lost quite a lot of time, around a tenth, and we're only half a tenth up going into the final sector. A lot of time to be gained here, but also easy to invalidate on that exit, and also easy to lose a lot of time. So on this exit, a little bit of a wiggle again, and through the final corner we're only going to improve by a half a tenth as we've dropped down to P10. Now, is this going to be enough? You can see still a lot of people having to finish the lap. You can see Jake, for example, is only starting his lap, so there's still a long way to go in this Q2 session, and we're only P9. But somehow we made it into Q3, P9. You can see how tight the margins are. We're only 200 away from dropping out of Q2, so it's incredibly close. You can see Marcel Kiefer, a bit of a shock exit there. He was really fast in Q1, but in Q2, I think he just didn't really get a lap together. So we are out in Q3 now for our first run, and this is on a used set of tires, and we're in a really good lap. Also considering we are on used tires, but also I had too much fuel on board, and there's currently a bug in this game where if you go from Q2 to Q3, your car or the game adds a lot of fuel. So if you don't take that out, then you're going out with way too much fuel. So really good lap. We were fastest of the used tire runners, and with 15 seconds to go, we're gonna start our Q3 lap to try and get anywhere close to pole position. Now new tires should gain us a lot of time, but that used tire run we did was really good. Tomek goes to provisional pole with a 1:14.62 into turn 1. Bit wide on that first apex, but we managed to nail the rest of the section pretty well. And into sector 2, we're going to be 110 up on our previous lap, which is pretty good. 200 down on Piotr Stachelek as we try to get good rotation through this next section of corners. And we're only 210s up, but then I missed the apex again a little bit there. Frederik Rasmussen 1:14.5. He's absolutely flying. Again, missed the apex a little bit, and this next section wasn't great as well. You can see we haven't really gained a lot of time to our used tire run through that fast section, so it hasn't been a great lap so far, and we need to hope we can find a lot more time in this final sector of the lap. You can see we've dropped down to P9, and we need to try and get ahead of Piotr, who was on a 1:14.6, but a big moment on that exit cost us quite a bit of time up to the line. It's only a 1:14.871, and that keeps us in P9, and we were basically the slowest in Q3. Joni Tormela didn't get a lap in, or he did, but probably not on his new tires. He probably invalidated. So P9 it is, right behind Danny Beresne. Sorry, the picture is a bit vague, but I was having a little bit of trouble getting that Q3 result. So P9 it is. Our championship rivals, basically P1, 2, and 5. Lucas Blakely didn't have a great qualifying as well there in Q3, considering he was up there from Q1 to Q2. But yeah, now straight into the race, because there's no formation lap due to a bug with the game, as it gives you sometimes random people no tire temperature. So into the race straight away, starting P9 on the mediums, a lot of other people on the hards. So that means we should have a lot more grip off the line. And you can see the start is not great. We've actually lost a little bit of time to the likes of Brendan Lee and Danny Beresne. However, Lucas Blakely and Piotr Stachelek didn't have a great start of the line. And you can see we're right behind Brendan Lee. There's no space for us to go anywhere else. That's why I'm bump drafting Brendan a little bit, so he can try and get ahead of everyone else. And you can see 3 wide into this next section. Danny Bresnay having a big moment. I tried to avoid it. And as you can see there, we've got a illegal overtake on Danny Bresnay. So I had to let him go again. And that was not very ideal. That cost us quite a lot of time. And a little bit of track position. Now we move back ahead of Danny Bresnay. And we've gained 2 positions on this start. But it could have been a lot more probably. As everyone else ahead is on the hards. Initially, I thought Brendan was on the mediums because he got such a good start of the line. But yeah, we just didn't get a good start. So simple as that. Now, Danny Bresnay on the hards behind us, and then our teammate Jake Benham, or not in-game teammate, but Jake Benham in P8 now on the mediums as well. So he has had a great opening lap, as he was not even in the top 10. So he's done a lot better than us on this opening lap. And now we need to try and get past Brendan for P6. And we're going to do that with the help of Slipstream and ERS. Brendan is not going to fight it because he knows we've got a lot more grip. And him fighting this will hurt his own race. Now we're straight away going on the attack against Wilson into turn 1. And that's going to be a pretty easy position right there for us up to P5. So 4 positions gained on the opening lap. And now we need to try and get closer towards Lucas, as there's quite a big of a gap. But we've got the tire advantage for now. Of course, eventually we will have to move to the hards as well, unless we go for a 2-stop. But we don't have this set, new set of softs to do that. So we're basically forced to go with a 1-stop. Now onto lap 4. We are turning on the overtake button. Lucas not fighting it once again, as well, as he knows he will just hurt his own race. So again, pretty easy pass for P4. And as longer the race goes on, the harder it's going to get for us to get past those hard runners. And the harder they will start to fight as well. Because they know as well our mediums are going to be dropping off. And for now, we are a lot faster. But the advantage is going to slowly fade away over the next few laps. Once again, we're going to turn on the overtake button and try to get past Tomek Poratsis into turn 1. Ruben Pedreno sets the fast lap of the race, a 1:18.0. And now that's P3 for us right there. As Barry goes for the move on Freddy Rasmussen. As Freddy tries to go for the switchback, but it's a double DRS detection. So that means Barry is once again going to get DRS on this next straight. Which, yeah, you can't really do anything against if you got overtaken into turn 1. Now you could see me lift and coast there a little bit, and that's because I had put in way too little fuel to make it to the end, and I realized that basically on lap 4 already. So yeah, to start lift and coasting, and once again into turn 1 here, you can see 1 lap later we're lifting a long time before we have to start braking. But yeah, underfueled massively, and that's because we didn't focus a lot on the race running, because we basically simply said have to focus on qualifying all the time, because we're not fast enough in qualifying. And even if we've like under fuel, like for example, and we have to lift and coast, we'll probably still lose less than when we are going out in Q1, for example. So that's the reality at the moment. And of course, we are focusing more on F1 esports than on PSGL. So that's why we're a little bit underprepared for the race, because we're putting all our time into qualifying and try to get a better setup. So that's not ideal. So in the next few laps, we're gonna try and do all the fuel saving, so we don't have to do it later on in the race anymore. Because yeah, that's the only option we really have. Once again, lap 8, you can see big lift and coast. We basically start to lift and coast 100 meters before the braking zone, and that's a lot. That costs us probably around 3-4 tenths per lap if we do it in turn 1 and then also in turn 4 that we're heading towards now. Again, big lift and coast. And yeah, it's losing us time, but we've got no other option. The best time to do it is probably now, because later on in the race everyone is going to be pushing like crazy, and we really can't afford to then start lifting coasting. So as we move now 7 laps later, quite a bit deeper into the race, still lift and coasting every single lap. We're saving our tires in the meantime as well, so that's good, because this way we can extend our medium stint as much as possible.
Jake's struggling.
A little bit.
As Jake's on the mediums as well, and doing 17 laps on the mediums is not easy, so we're gonna be boxing this lap for a new set of hearts, and it's not gonna be easy to warm them up, so we will have fresh hearts in the end, but unfortunately the tire warm up is gonna be really hard. You saw everyone struggling on the opening lap of the race on those hearts, and we're gonna have the exact same here on our outlap on those hearts. So Piotr Starchelak behind us boxes as well, and Brendan Lee on a new set of mediums behind us. Coming out of the pits, he is gonna be two seconds behind us, as you can see. It took a while for the delta to show up. Wilson used box already to the medium, so he boxed really early for those mediums. And Lucas Blakely behind Wilson would disconnected earlier on in the race, so he's not having a very good time this race so far. But of course, if you rejoin half lap later, you lose around 5-6 seconds, but your race is still somewhat intact. You can still grab a few points, and if you do really well, even grab a podium or a win. So
Brendan, 42%.
His race is not completely over, and you can see Brendan behind us on the mediums has already gained 1.3 seconds, and our hearts are still not up to temperature. So we're really struggling here on this lap to try and get heat into those tires. And into the final sector, Brendan is only 3/10 behind, and he's definitely going to get DRS on this lap. And probably gets past us because we've got no DRS, so we can't really defend here. We're on cold hearts. There's no point in even trying to defend this, as Wilson sets the fast lap of the race. Our hearts are finally somewhat getting up to temperature, and you can see Jake has actually come out ahead of us when he did his in-lap on those old mediums, and that just shows how bad the hearts are on that outlap.
I'm losing so much fucking time here again, man.
And you can see there Jake coming out on those hearts, having the same issue as us, no grip. So yeah, he's deciding to let us go and not fight us too hard there, so we can continue our race. And in the next few corners you're gonna just see Jake drop behind, and by the end of the lap Jake is 2.5 seconds behind. So you basically lose around 3 to 3.5 seconds on the outlap, just by your tires being cold. That's quite a lot. Now on to the side of lap 20. Wilson out of DRS. A lot of people coming out now. Freddy fighting side by side with Barry into turn 1, as you can see up ahead. And that's good for us, because we are starting to get a little bit low on the ERS side. Brandon fighting Tomac as well into turn 4. And that's why I decided not to use any of my battery there, because I thought they were going to lose quite a bit of time. You can see Brandon flashing as well, so that's good for us, because now we know we've got a little bit of pace in our hands compared to Brandon battery wise. But of course those hearts are still going to be a lot slower in the next few laps, and yeah, that's not ideal. The guys up ahead, Freddy and Barry, are going to be pushing like crazy as well to try and create as big of a gap as possible to everyone, of course, so that they can just fight later on. Freddy almost dropping out of DRS, I think so, as he is struggling on those cold mediums, compared to Barry, who boxed I think 1 or 2 laps earlier. So now we're gonna get DRS here, which is great, as Wilson behind us doesn't, and I think our main threat at the moment is from Wilson, as Lucas sets the fast lap of the race, followed by Joni Tormela. But yeah, Wilson at the moment is our biggest threat, so we just need to try and stay in this DRS train as long as we can, because that's gonna help us later on in this race a lot. Of course, there are 3 DRS zones on this track. This is the second one, and then in the middle sector you've got the third one. So basically, if you can get DRS, you gain around half a second per lap, I think so, purely on DRS. So if you can just just hang in there to try and keep getting DRS every lap. That's gonna save you a lot of time by the end of the race. So that's why we're using our battery more and more now. 810s behind Tomac. You can see their mediums have so much more grip, and we're almost out of the 1 second window. So that's why I'm pushing with the ERS now to try and just stay in there. The DRS detection is gonna come up in around 2 corners, and we just need to hold stick in there. You can see the DRS detection was right there, and we were within 9.5 tenths, within a second. You need to be, and that's gonna give us DRS for one more lap. Double DRS detection, so that means we're gonna get DRS no matter what on the second straight as well. And you can see we used a lot of our battery there.
DRS.
Yes.
Okay.
And we used a lot of our ERS to get back within that 1 second window. Or have a little bit more margin, because once again we're gonna start losing time in the middle sector purely on having less grip. This is a very technical section, so all mechanical grip, and then you're gonna have that fast section as well, where those mediums work wonders as well. So
0% battery though.
as you can hear my engineer say, Brendan, 0% battery, but we kind of have the same issue here. So now it's more of an equal battle, and now it's gonna get a lot harder in the next few laps to try and stay within the DRS. You can see once again the gap is 8.5 tenths, and no battery left for us. So somehow we need to try and stay within this 1 second in the next few corners.
Barry's or Freddy's, let me know.
And I'm giving it my absolute all. I'm pushing those tires as hard as I can, but they just don't have the same grip level that they have. So as you can see here, Tomac is out of the 1 second window. We were within 1 second at the DRS detection, but we've got no ERS left. So at this point we kind of have to accept we're not getting DRS anymore. But you can see the gap behind now, 3 seconds. So the DRS has worked wonders for us here and carried us along quite a bit. Now we need to hope that the others, their tires start dropping off, which they should start to do around now. You can see the gap is now 4 seconds, so even if they do drop off, it's not going to be easy to still catch those 4 seconds.
18.1.
As the group ahead has stopped gaining time. But yeah, if we want to get within that 4 second window, we need to start gaining time. And Tomac and Brendan started battling quite hard, so you can see now 2 laps later we've gained almost 2 seconds, which is very, very good for us, as the safety car has been deployed. Joni Tormel has crashed.
Nah, I'm not going soft, that's crazy.
Stay up, I think.
Tomac is boxed.
Okay.
Yeah, it's only going to be 3 laps of racing. Gonna gain what? 2 seconds per lap. 3. Oh, there are a lot of people boxing though. Yeah, we fucked it there, not gonna lie. I didn't expect that. Sorry.
No worries.
And as you can hear there, it's always difficult to make the decision that fast, because you also rely on others. If no one else boxes for softs,
Tell Jake to defend somewhat.
then you're gonna lose too much track position. But if a lot of people box for softs,
I can't even
then
warm up my rears because of the throttle limiter.
but if everyone boxes, then you're not gonna lose track position. So that's the issue we've got here. People like Lucas and Tomac have only lost 2-3 positions, and with 2 laps to go, they're gonna have around a 3 second per lap advantage compared to everyone right here. As I'm trying to heat up my rears, which is absolutely impossible with this horrible throttle limiter that they've put on at the safety car restart. But now we're on the way again, 2 laps of racing, and we are fighting for the podium position here. But it's not going to be easy with so many people behind on new softs. Jake on hards behind us, Danny Bresnay on old mediums as well. So we've got a little bit of a cushion from them, but those softs are going to be in a different league of their own. They're going to be 3 seconds, maybe 4 seconds per lap faster.
1.4 seconds behind Jake.
Alright,
And as you can hear there,
defend. Oh well, we can't, obviously.
And as you can hear, Lucas 1.4 behind Jake, which is basically gone within the space of 3 corners. There's a yellow flag in that section behind us. Fabrizio knows I'm out of the session. And 1.5 lap to go. Lucas is right behind Jake now. And he is going to be a big threat to us in the final lap here. Of course, he needs to still overtake all those cars. So it depends how hard that is going to be for him. And we also need to try and somehow get Brandon on this last lap. Or Harch should be slightly faster. But there's no DRS, which makes it a little bit harder. And I think Freddy has the same issue. No DRS makes this last lap overtaking really hard. Lucas in P6 now.
Lucas
right.
past Jake, I'm sure you can see.
Yeah.
Right behind Danny Bresnay now. And that's why we're using our overtake button to try and give Danny Bresnay as much space as possible. Because if Danny Bresnay manages to stay ahead for just 2 or 3 corners longer, that is going to help us massively. So I'm going to use my battery again to give Danny Bresnay a little bit more space into those next few corners, so he can brake deep in there. And we just want Danny to stay there desperately, but Lucas just has so much more grip than everyone around him, and now he's right back with us. 2 tenths, no DRS, so it's gonna be an equal fight in the last sector. Now 1 tenth, he's basically on our gearbox. We've got a little bit of ERS remaining, which we're going to be using now. We are weaving to try and break the toe into the final sector of the race. Can we stay ahead? This is very important for the championship. We're going to break deep into the corner. Lucas tries to go around the outside. We squeeze him a little bit. We're ahead at corner entry, which gives us the right of the corner. We give him the space on the inside, and we're going to finish P4 on track. And that was an intense final couple of laps. Now, as you can see there, P4 on track. But after penalties, post-race penalties, we have finished P3. We have lost a fair few points to Barry Burmont as he wins again. So that's another 6-point loss, as the point system works a bit different in PSGL. You can see there, Barry won in the end. We finished P3, Lucas P10 after a post-race penalty. Same for Brandon, also a 5-second penalty. So that moves us up 1 place. It moves us a lot closer to Lucas, but Barry once again extends the championship lead by a few points to us and quite a lot of points to Lucas. So yeah, with 4 rounds remaining after this, if I remember correctly, you can see their standings after this round. We are now 26 points behind. Actually, I'm not saying that correct. 29 points behind Barry Burmont. So with 4 rounds to go, it's starting to look very difficult for us. We're most likely not in this championship fight. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to try and keep fighting for those race wins, because that's the only thing we can do at the moment. And yeah, Lucas lost a lot of points there as well, of course. So, hope you guys enjoyed today's league race. Nonetheless, there was a lot of action. We still don't have the pace. Simple as that. We're going to try and keep pushing. Try and close that gap to the top guys. And hope we can do better next week. Anyways, make sure to like and subscribe for more league racing content. And see you guys next time. Ciao.